All right. Yeah. Makes sense. Wow. What's happening, everybody? It's another episode of Woke with Kids.
Hey.
Yo. It's episode 109 to be exact. That's right. 109 times have we gathered together to do this. And
how did that happen?
Oh man, I don't know. We must have some sort of I don't know. We must be a gluttons for punishment because there's a lot of good reasons to not do it, but we always find a reason to come back and do something. So I'm very glad that we do. And I'm glad that you guys join us. I'm really glad about that.
That's the awesome part.
Yeah, that's truly what it is. If you guys didn't listen, if I didn't see hundreds of people downloading the podcast and listening to the words that we say and taking encouragement from what we talk about and the things that kind of obsess us and occupy our time, then we wouldn't do the damn thing. I'm just trying to fiddle with Mel's knobs here. Get your mind out of the gutter. Just want to make sure she sounds loud and popping as I
think I do.
Yeah, I think you do too. Just okay, great. Just that waveform looked a little like it wasn't respecting your goddess energy, and I just wasn't
saying anything.
I guess that could also be the case. Well, look, I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. It's already late over here on the West Coast. We're in the middle of the entire state burning down. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news, but we've been having a spate of wildfires. It's been terrible. The smoke was awful during the week. My kids are probably have taken 2-3 years off their life because of what my dad is trying to tell us or convince us of. Anyway,
I don't know why you guys include me on any of those conversations.
I have never CC'd you on an email to my father. He loves you, and he cares about our family, and that just happens to manifest as him always wanting us to move back to the East Coast. I don't know if there is a connection or anything of that nature involved, but that's just how it tends to happen. It's science. I can't argue with it.
Yeah, it's been pretty devastating to see what's happening somewhat close to LA. You know, Malibu and surrounding areas is just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah,
I know people who've been evacuated. And when we went to Langston's Karate Awards banquet, the main instructor grew up in Paradise, which 90% of the whole town burned down.
That's
so
crazy.
Basically his childhood town is gone.
That's crazy just to think of.
So that was 1 degree away. That was one person.
1 degree of separation, yeah.
And in addition to other things, I think, it's really the dry brush and the wind. It's not that anything was overgrown. It wasn't a campfire. This was like some electrical wiring. At least the Woolsey fire.
Well, yeah.
There was electrical wiring things happening, and then the wind just whipping it up where firefighters can't,
I heard that too. It's weird.
Firefighters can't really get the fire down. It's changing direction every which way. So it's really dangerous. It's really sad. Very high death toll, up to 31 people, I think, already.
Actually, it's up to like 48 now.
Oh, my God.
As of last count.
Oh, my God.
Not that I take pleasure in updating
that is a rare number for a fire.
It's the worst. It's the absolute worst that's ever happened in the state.
And God, just please, everyone, pray and do a dance that we maybe get some rain in even one of these areas.
It's forecast a week out.
Yeah, I've heard that they think they'll be able to contain it by the weekend, but
yeah, no, it's
barring,
It's god awful.
Nature.
It's climate
can't already control.
There's also climate change.
I can't stop rubbing my eyes. The smoke is really bad.
There's climate change to take into account with this. There are things that we are doing to the planet that are facilitating the growth of these hurricanes, these superstorms, and the fires. So it's particularly disappointing for our Cheeto in chief to try to cast aspersions
That was really
on the forest
just,
management of California. I mean, it's just like it's
such,
just a low blow.
Not that we ever thought, at least I never think that he is a person with good character. Like, never, ever.
Far be.
Clear. I mean, he said,
never.
grab him by the pussy. Like, I mean.
Forever. He's
you know what
guy.
I mean?
Forever.
Or, like, I love the one where he's walking up the stairs to Air Force One with an umbrella and, like, his fucking kid is walking uncovered. Melania groans. So she got a little scarf over her head. But, like, isn't the kid Barron's, like, 13? I'm like, why aren't you at least holding your umbrella over your child as you walk into the plane? Like, it's raining.
Well, he can't.
And then the other time where he just let the umbrella go and you see it like blowing away, like, damn, who the fuck raised you? Okay, sorry, I digress. This motherfucker has no character. And so these fires are going on and he fucking tweets about how it's due to poor forest management by the state of California and federal funds are going to be withheld because they are misusing the money.
Which is clearly just shots at California,
because we fucking hate him and we make no bones about it, and we try to be an obstacle to any and every. Well,
we
part
elected
of
a ton of fucking
agenda.
Democrats. Yes, we elected a ton of
even
fucking
before
Democrats.
then. But
yeah, but especially
we will continue
now.
To do so. We're taking
Because
over some of these hardcore red counties and congressional districts. Well, not that many, but at least one that they were pretty sure.
Well, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about
a Republican stronghold. So, yeah, people have to check him. Like, first of all, what you're supposed to do when American citizens are suffering is express some sort of condolence and care. And you're also supposed to celebrate the brave men and women who are fighting the fires and fighting to save lives. How about we start there? So it's just like, what an asshole move. And again and over again to make this about you and some sort of political tit for tat.
It's kind of funny.
Dying.
It's kind of funny to me though. I mean, I hate to take pleasure in the mental collapse of this guy, but for me, what I see is all of this lashing out is a direct consequence of what we got addressed. Elephant Room. It's been 2 weeks since we left you. Is that we had a little vote. We had a little say in on things. All right. Last time we talked, we were trying to get you to go vote. We wanted you to go vote the right way, which in this case probably was Democrat. I'm not saying you got to be a Democrat lifelong, but in this particular instance, we need to divide government, and you heard our call. I'm going to take direct responsibility for the result of the House turning over Democrat. That's all Woke with Kids. You're welcome. But thank you guys for helping make that happen. No, seriously.
Yeah, we did that part. We did a lot. Actually, we did a lot of parts.
Yeah.
And
it was amazing. As
much as they want to make a big deal about the Republican Party picking up more seats in the Senate,
there's no big deal to be made, actually.
It's more of a deal that the House and many more seats flipped.
Yeah.
Either back blue to Democratic congressional leaders, or just picked up additional seats, because that's really where a lot of the legislation, in theory, would need to be voted on one way or the other. And now Democrats have more votes to block and or slow down some of this quote unquote agenda. Like, for example, I feel like the tax break thing wouldn't have passed. You know what I mean?
I mean, definitely not. But yeah, there are a lot of issues.
Other type of big things, repealing Obamacare, which didn't pass anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot.
When it wasn't a majority Democratic House.
There's a lot of issues that would have been different.
So, yeah, Trump has to lash out. He's got to lash out at Jim Acosta and all the other black female journalists and, whoever will listen.
But I just want to say, but also we knew we were going to lose the Senate. So it's not even a big deal that we lost the Senate, honestly. The fact of the matter is that we got this new reality in America where rural America is now going lockstep with the Republicans, and the college educated suburbanites who used to comprise the backbone of the Republican Party. You remember back in the 90s, back in our day, the ultimate Republican voter was the soccer mom. Right? It was all these women who lived in these big mega mansions out in the suburbs during the expansion of the 90s, and they were all voting Republican because little Timmy was getting into Boys in the Hood and rap music and learning how to smoke crystal meth and all this shit. So they were freaking out, and they didn't want their kids to to be pulled in all this. So all this niggerdom, those niggerishness. So they were the ones that were supporting, the super predator rap that Hillary was laying down and Bill Clinton was laying down, and all the black people in the pulpits and in the church and all that shit too. Everyone was laying down that super predator bullshit. But anyways, so the big shift of this election, which has been really interesting to see, is suburban voters, college-educated suburban voters, realigning themselves with Democrats, at least in this election cycle. It remains to be seen if this becomes a coalition or if this is the reconstitution of the Obama coalition. But for the time being, what we can say is that rural people, the country folks, the farmers, they're sticking with Trump. And because senators, the Senate is chosen by land versus population, it gives them disproportionate influence in the Senate. And we may have an uphill battle for a good minute, actually, with the Senate in terms of representation there. I don't see any real solution for that in the long term unless we change the Constitution and the way senators are chosen. But the House of Representatives, up until this election, everyone's talking about a blue wave. The pollsters were predicting it. Traditionally, historically speaking, the president loses. The president's party loses seats in the House and usually in the Senate as well. But I just spoke about why that is. So in this instance, however, the blue wave came, and on election night, like 20 some seats got flipped, and everyone was like, all right, it was solid, So it moved into the blue column. But what's been remarkable about this election is that the wins are still rolling in. Shit is still being counted. Votes are still being tabulated. And also, some of the
losses were so close.
True.
Some of these losses were extremely close.
Very true.
And in terms of some of the wins still rolling in, we still have contested. That was the other thing. It wasn't just congressional seats that were flipping one way or the other. Democratic Party and progressives picked up a lot of seats in like governorships, judge seats,
yes,
district attorney seats,
seats
more like local level, even just statewide rather than at the federal level. And that makes a really huge difference. The most notable ones being the Senate seat that was vacated by John McCain.
Yes.
Also, obviously, the governorship in Georgia, where we have Stacey Abrams not conceding.
Yep.
And former Secretary of State Bill Kemp, who is also running. And I thought already that seemed like a conflict that should never have been allowed to stand. And there have been so many inconsistencies with the rollout of some of the voting procedures and the way it's all being handled after the fact. It's just already muddied the waters, partially because there's no way that he's not biased against the votes coming in for him. And what those certifications, just up until the week prior to the vote, a judge had to shoot down some new law he was trying to enforce about exact matching voter ID or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
That was something literally the guy running for office tried to enact in his other role as Secretary of State right before the damn vote. Yep. So although Ms. Abrams was refusing to concede right away from election night, they are now officially within the margin of error where a recount is required.
That's right.
By their own state law.
That's right.
Although it's weird, I keep getting these emails from Democratic Party saying, well, they need my money to help finish the recount. I'm like, if the law of the state requires it, why do Democrats have to pay? Doesn't everyone want to just get the real vote? Republican and Democrat alike?
I got thoughts on that, but I don't want to go down a rabbit hole.
Let's go back to that. Yeah. We've also got the seat in Florida. Yep. Mayor of Tallahassee, Andrew Gillum. Running for governor. He conceded early on. Turns out, and then his seat was officially within the margin of error where a recount is required by Florida law. So then he had to come back and say, I officially unconcede. But, it's not even like with Ms. Abrams where she's refusing. He was like, hey, this is the law. And so it's, again, absurd that Trump...
Stacey Abrams isn't even refusing. At this point, there is still... a judge actually just came out today and ruled that provisional ballots would need to be counted in the election. So it's like everyone is within their rights.
Right,
like
at this point, but initially on election night, she wasn't. Yeah, that's right. Whereas that's right. Gillum conceded right away on election night.
True indeed.
Now, all across the board, as well as, who's the other guy? Bill Nelson? I don't know what he's up for, but he's another one in Florida.
He's a senator.
All of these races are officially within the margin of error, where a recount or a legislation or law to ensure that all ballots are counted is required. A lot of these provisional ballots or absentees, Trump has the nerve to be like, oh, all of a sudden they found some new ballots. Where did these come from? These are our men and women serving overseas, oftentimes. I mean, this is not even the recount. This is the motherfucking count.
Yeah.
And that's where it's crazy to me that Republicans would in any way try to seem like they were not wanting all the legally casted votes to be counted. But I guess at this point, nothing should surprise me with what they will say to just try and get what they want.
Well, a funny thing about those provisional ballots is that they didn't even exist until 2000 with the Florida recount.
Right.
With the Bush, the original recount, the original stolen election, if you guys are too young to remember. But back in 2000, way back in the day, our country was deciding who the president was going to be. It was right after Bill Clinton, and we had Al Gore, who was like the guy who was saying, I'm going to be the environmental president. I'm going to save the world.
And he'd been vice president.
He'd been vice president. He was a good guy. He had, blah, blah, blah. And then Bush, and it was toe-to-toe, and it was very, 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 and then it all came down to Florida, hanging chads in Florida, and the fact that Bush's brother
was the governor
of Florida, and then the Supreme Court came in at the last minute.
Supreme Court had to rule on it. I mean, it was crazy. Bush is saying now, like, we got to count all the votes.
Right. So I'm just saying, the country has seen this nonsense before, and that is why these provisional ballots exist, so that when there is some sort of contention around a ballot, that a person has a due process remedy to correct their ballot and have their voice counted. So
yeah, and it is really, it's a shame, and again speaks to their lack of character, really, that they would try to cast any aspersion or negativity on the Broward County supervisor, or whatever the woman's name is, and her title in overseeing the election counting, because they're owning up if there have been any issues. They're not hiding anything. They're not destroying evidence. They're not lying. You know what I mean? All the things that would imply cheating, and all that anyone is really saying is count all the votes.
Yeah, I mean, well, the reason is very clear, because what we're looking at is the alignment of white nationalism against the rest of the country. We're looking at this is the same old disease as the Civil War in the South and their racism and all this shit and Jim Crow. Only now these white people are more spread out across the country, but they're generally rural. They're generally xenophobic. They're against immigration. They're against what they perceive as the de-Christianization of America. And it's not a new position. It's not very original. In fact, it's quite boring. I think the reason that it stings so much to have to deal with it is because you think, how can this be happening in 2018? Which is really just a way of saying, how can you motherfuckers have not caught up? But now I realize we're never going to get rid of these people. These people are the herpes of the body politic, and it'll always come back. So I'm starting to try to readjust my thinking to why, and woe is me, and starting to realize that it doesn't really matter why they think the way they do. They think that way, and they're not going to change. So it becomes about, how do we arrange society and how do we make changes so that we can remedy whatever their perceived injustices are without actually without actually putting black people in slavery.
I think one way is exactly what the country did, which is getting as many of them out of power every chance that we get. Where was it in Houston? 19 black female judges.
Talk about that
were
shit.
Up for election, and all of them were elected.
All of them
won their race. I don't even know what that means. I'm like, what?
I've never heard of nothing like that.
Yeah, I'm
19?
like, wait,
Did you say 19?
I said this was it. I said all 19 black women running for judge in a Texas race won.
Unbelievable.
I'm looking at the picture. It's amazing.
No, I mean, and also, is this also the same place where the white judge who lost his seat? decided to let all of the juvenile
I don't
offenders
know.
go?
I see it saying Harris County, but I'm not sure where that is. So then, in another a segment of Yes, Yes, Y'all, Judge Glenn Devlin was one of the 59 Republican jurists in Harris County who was replaced by a Democrat. He lost his reelection, and he said all. That's what I just said. Oh, it is, but it's Texas. Okay, so he set all his defendants free. I wonder if he must have lost to one of the black women.
It must be. It's Harris County.
So he released all the defendants, and he says, obviously, this is what the voters wanted. So he released juveniles.
He asked them,
who had been charged with a wide range of crimes.
He said, if I release you, Judge Devlin said, if I release you, will you go out and murder anybody? And if the juvenile said no, they were released. Hold on. What I want to know is, which one of y'all dumb motherfuckers said yes and went back to jail? He said if they said no, then he released them. Did somebody actually go up there and say that, yes, I will? I'm sorry.
I'm sure there was one or two.
I'm sorry. That's what I take
it would be pretty unbelievable that the judge would just want your honest answer and believe you and let you go. So maybe some of them was like, fuck it, I'm just going to be honest and say I don't know or probably not or whatever. But yeah, that was a strange twist of fate.
I hope none of them said, I will kill somebody, but it's just funny the way that they phrased that. He said,
of course. That's the funny thing.
If the juvenile said no, they were released. I can't. What the fuck juvenile does and says I'm going to kill somebody?
You know, anyway. I'm going to pray for all of them because they got a second chance in a system that wouldn't normally give them one.
That's true.
And, all we can do is pray that they have family and support to help really keep them from going back in. Listen, I mean, that's really. I mean, especially if they're juveniles, like God willing, they're not
off scot free. But they're not off scot free. Their cases will be heard again in January when the black judge takes the bench. Well, when the black woman judge takes the bench. Which is funny is that his track record up until that point shown that he was prone to incarceration.
Of course,
he doubled the number of Harris County juvenile offenders sent to Texas Juvenile Justice Department in recent years. All I'm gonna say is thank you for trusting black women to be. Now, not every black woman is going to let these dudes off,
and not every dude deserves to be off.
That's right.
So
that's not what I'm saying.
Although I don't agree with life sentences for juveniles.
No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
That's a kind of
that's an oxymoron with juvenile.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't be a juvenile
that's a separate situation.
But it is. But
just letting them walk out though. If they say I'm not going to do it again, they don't seem like
he was
totally wise either.
He was beat.
But hey, he was like, fuck it.
He got
basically he said, fuck y'all.
Yeah, he said, fuck it. That's what he said. Fuck it.
He said, oh, y'all vote me out? Fuck it. Watch what I can do.
But the funny thing is, in letting all them go and letting the black female judge come in and do the work, he's just, it's like good. Like, yes, let her handle it.
Well, that is what the people voted for.
Yes.
That right there.
Yes.
That right there.
That's what they voted for.
Who's going to decide and who's going to weigh in and reason. They'd rather have a black woman decide to send the guy to jail or the girl,
and
the juvenile.
Who the hell would?
As opposed to this old white man who's been doing it for a long time.
Who the hell would?
Another yes, y'all, is Lucy McBath, elected to Congress. Mm-hmm. She is the mother of Jordan Davis, who was murdered in 2012 by a man upset with him for playing his loud music at a Florida gas station. Side note, that guy did get convicted of murder and go to jail. Just want to... That one always made me happy.
Praise Jesus.
That he didn't get off.
Praise Allah.
This poor young man lost his life. But that incident and the reaction in the community and all of that spurred this woman to run for Congress. So,
fantastic.
Again, Godspeed to her. Light the candles and pray that she is able to withstand this crazy ass bullshit at this higher federal level. I mean, I don't know who can do it, but I mean, these people can, and we got so many. Look, 31-year-old. Some new. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. 31-year-old Democrat Lauren Underwood pulled off a victory in predominantly white and solidly Republican district.
Is that Massachusetts?
Illinois, 14th congressional district.
I know. When have we ever been confused with who the new young
black congresswoman is?
Yeah,
and who she's representing?
It's like what we've got. A black woman becoming the first black woman attorney general of New York.
Yes.
We have we have first Native American women in Congress. We have first 2 Muslim American women to be elected
Presley from
to
Massachusetts.
Congress. That's who I was thinking you were talking about. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Then, of course, we got the youngest, our homegirl, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh, I love her. She's my spirit animal.
She's the one who was straight up like, yo, I can't even afford to move yet to DC.
Word.
I can't move. She said, I was bartending last year. So when y'all think my life is fucked up, I am fucking up in my life because I'm 26, 27, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing in my life. Take heart. Honestly, that's literally what she posted on her Instagram. Yeah. She said, look, y'all, life takes time. You don't have to do it all overnight. Last year, I was bartending.
Well, check this out.
I just bought my first couch, and I just got health insurance, and I can't afford to move to D.C. from a new job to that D.C. paycheck.
It's real life.
And when they tried to criticize her, God bless her, and this is what she won on, was pointing out that it's this separation between the haves and the haves not, and the 1%, and the people who are just working hard to try and live a good life that she wants to represent. That's and y'all on here laughing about the plight of real working people and how much money they have or don't have.
That's right.
So, girl, keep on with your message.
That's right. That's right. Look, what's so amazing about this, and look how God look how God works. Overall, it's almost exactly 50 years to the day that Shirley Chisholm became the first black woman elected to Congress. You see how God moves?
God bless her.
You see how God moves. So, I mean, a lot of things to celebrate. So many people. Look, the one from New York, that was Letitia James. Damn, her name black as hell. Letitia Tish James is now the first black woman and first woman and first African American elected to the position of New York Attorney General. Do you know what I'm saying? God damn. She said it's the first woman and the first African American.
This is the thing Lord too. And this is like, this is how some of these white people did Trump. They said, well, let's give him a chance. Now we're saying, let's give these people a chance.
Yes.
You know, maybe they're not going to save the world.
Yes.
But they deserve as much of a chance as these, basically whoever the hell they replace. Oftentimes an old white man who've been doing a job. And I think, like Trump, basically, let's steal all of Trump's talking points. They've taken it for granted. It's time to drain the fucking swamp.
Drain it.
And that's not possible by electing the people who look just like the motherfuckers doing the shit.
Amen.
Which is why they got Trump fucked up. How you gonna take an old white man with money, talking about I'm gonna get rid of all the old white men with money who are taking yours, and then expect anything different? That's stupidness.
Yes.
I mean, just outright stupidity. So I'm willing to put all my chips in on people of color, on Native Americans, on women, on LGBTQ, everyone else who is fighting for survival. That's what people are feeling.
Yes.
You would think rural white folks would align themselves if they weren't so damn racist. They would align themselves with everyone else who's been marginalized, because now y'all motherfuckers is in that place and you want someone to fight for you. And let me tell you, it's not Trump. It's not Lindsey Graham. It's not any other one of these motherfuckers who is rich already. I mean, what have you heard from Paul Ryan? Nothing. He made his money. He did his one little thing. This motherfucker young as hell. And he's like, I'm out.
I'm going private.
He's like, good luck with whatever the fuck y'all doing. Good luck.
That's real.
See you at the polls. That's it.
Yeah.
So, can't put all your faith in any one man or woman, but we can collectively. And I think this election really helped to show that to people who were doubting.
Yes.
Maybe we can make small steps forward. It's not going to be a slam dunk. Beto O'Rourke didn't win. Although I love the headlines.
Although he ain't going away either.
My favorite was his concession speech when he was talking to his peeps. He said, I'm so fucking proud of you guys. He said to his campaign staff.
Word.
And Jon Favreau, who directed Iron Man and all that, Swingers, he tweeted, no, Beto, we're fucking proud of you. And I was just like, yes. So he's young. He can stick around. And
these
Ted
cats
Cruz can't hang much longer.
These cats are. This is not their last appearance. This is the first appearance of the new generation of leaders, liberal and progressive leaders, that we're going to be seeing.
And that's
for a
the key
long
part
term,
is that the people who came out and voted, all of these young people who possibly voted for the first time, like, we need to really attack all of the voter suppression that was tried attempted to be implemented. What do we got to do to make sure the census is not going to disenfranchise people more? Let's keep some of this energy.
We already lost that fight.
Let's work.
We lost that fight because they are not now going to count LGBTQ people.
Oh, I think there were multiple things.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Only reason I bring that up is because one of the things that we went into as a headwind was the idea of gerrymandering. The Republicans had, and this is why it's so critical for us to control our local and state legislatures, is because they draw the district maps for how they elect representatives. So we were fighting a disadvantage structurally in the House that had been implemented shortly after the Clinton years. And the fact that even despite the fact that all these districts were crazy gerrymandered in many cases, that they still flipped to the Democratic column is testimony to some extent of how even when the institutional levers are not with us, like structurally we may have some disadvantages in terms of the way the Supreme Court is set up right now, the way the Senate is set up. It seems to be that the enthusiasm and the direct participation of individual citizens and voters can override that. Is a veto in and of itself of those type of structural disadvantages. So, but what I'm saying is I think the census is going to be fucked. I do think the census is going to get fucked.
Yeah, I read that and I'm not completely as informed as I'd like to be right now to really talk about it, but I'm sure it'll come up again. I think they were trying to put in a question about citizenship. That was the one that was really going to
that's a bad one.
Then say, oh, these people, their vote won't be counted because it wasn't just gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm quote unquote illegal. It'd be differentiating upon naturalized citizens and green card holder, all these other kind of things that they're already trying to say, oh, that doesn't count. So all that being said, I think if anything, let's shift the momentum to something else, but we can't really let it die out.
That's right.
We've got to keep that energy going. If anything, take it into the holidays and focus that personally in your personal life with your family, with your friends, regroup, reset. Maybe that's what you need to do, or just have a more personal, private conversation with your loved ones about what's going on. Maybe we can take some slight reprieve from the news machine.
Yeah.
And, that like push for everyone, with the fires and the shootings and everything. I think people are definitely going to be drawing a little bit closer, keeping things closer to home if they still have one, unfortunately.
Word to that. Shout out to Kyrsten Sinema for taking the Arizona Senate seat and narrowing the losses of the Democrats in the Senate considerably.
Since we're in that area, what the fuck is wrong with Nevadians?
Yo,
how y'all gonna vote and elect a dead white dude who ran who ran that cat house show? Remember that?
I did like that show on HBO.
I watched it before.
It was a good show.
He was a big old white dude.
I would not have voted for him to be my representative.
That's the thing, though. Everybody knew he was dead. Like, they announced it to no end. Fine. It'd be one thing if they elected him and they were like, hey, he's good at business and we like him because we've seen him on TV. Where have we heard that before? But the motherfucker died. So what is the benefit to voting for him?
People do weird shit. I don't even know.
That's weird.
I know, but like people vote for dead people. That isn't a new thing.
Just to say we would have liked to have him.
Yeah, sometimes. I think it's just evidence of the fact that voting is emotional and that we do it by
very much.
It's emotional and tribally
very
driven.
Much so.
That's what it is to me. It's just evidence.
Do we have any more? I mean, there's so much Trumping. We could talk about how immediately let's say election was Tuesday. Well, by Wednesday, Trump was like, "Oh, yo, Jeff, let me holler at you for a second."
Yeah, before we do that, let's just say shout out to LGBTQ for making a lot of gains as well. Kyrsten Sinema is a first openly bisexual senator that I'm aware of. Colorado has its first openly gay governor. I think.
Yeah, there were a couple. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a couple of things. I think it's dope. I love the fact that it's. I just love the fact that, despite the fact that Trump got into office, the culture wasn't set back. The culture is still moving forward, and we're still accepting and the coalition of inclusion is growing, and I just think this shit is dope, and I'm just, I just want to, I think it just even calls for, a little ceiling.
I think it pisses God off if you walk by the color purple.
Yeah.
In a field.
Yeah.
Don't notice it.
And don't notice it. I agree. That's all I'm saying. I totally agree with that. I
follow Margaret Avery, the actress who plays Suge, on Instagram. She's great. I love her. I just had to.
Do you?
Of course.
Okay, what does she post about?
Positive, like motivational Monday type of thing, or just like a joy for life. I mean, she grown, so it's like, hey, ladies and gentlemen,
right on.
This is what I'm thinking about today, and it's always positive,
right on,
or like reflective.
Okay.
It's cute.
All right, well, let's move on to some Trumpy trumping then. Yeah, the Caravans.
Oh God, that wasn't it.
No, that wasn't it. That was just what's up. That's just catching up. That's just catching up on shit. What's going on?
So anybody else notice that since the election, all of a sudden this migrant caravan isn't the imminent threat of certain doom?
Oh no,
that it was like the entire week leading up to the election.
I didn't notice something like that.
I mean, isn't that weird?
Yeah, I mean, we were about to be invaded by like rapists and thugs and meth addicts, and then after the election, all of a sudden we were safe.
But wait,
we actually ordered troops.
They're there. I'm pretty sure they're there
with guns.
Flint, Michigan still don't have clean water coming out the faucet, but you know what we can do overnight?
We got time for this. We got time
overnight,
for this.
basically within a matter of days, we can send. Was it 5,000 troops?
Yes. Meanwhile, the troops. I'm sensitive about this shit. I'm not military, but I got a lot of military relatives, including my second cousin, my baby cousin Jair, who's in the Navy. These dudes that are deployed down to the border aren't even getting combat pay. They're just out there. So like, can you imagine that? These aren't even National Guards troops. These aren't like people who have regular lives. These are actual soldiers, some of whom have been deployed to real places, and now they're at the border away from their families and their homes, and they're not even getting the money they were making.
And then Trump won't even fucking stress himself to go to Arlington National Cemetery for fucking Veterans Day. He can't trouble himself to go to the World War I memorial, whatever, because it might be raining. I mean, this motherfucker is so out of pocket. The last thing he wants to do is to be president.
This is your king. This your
exactly.
King. This your king.
Like, he not out here standing for y'all, for regular people. I mean, of all the people, this motherfucking draft dodger wouldn't sacrifice literally one hair of his toupeed head to
literally
cover,
no one in his family,
to shield
nobody
his own
in his
child
not one
from
person's
rain.
family.
And you think he respects the veterans? People who have died? Get the fuck out of here.
And also, so at the same time, he had time to accuse Jim Acosta of attacking an intern and revoking his press pass, and then releasing a doctored video
I know
to support this.
Why would they? Well, first of all, Jim tried to ask a very just regular journalistic question relating to politics. Completely appropriate, very respectful, but insistent, as a good White House press correspondent has to be.
Fourth estate. He's supposed to do it.
And he's on one of the top news outlets, so of course he really wants to get an answer. Well, Trump didn't like that because he wants to be the only bully in the room. And he literally tried to say, grab his mic. So then some young girl tried to actually take a mic from a grown man. And Jim did not knock her hand away, which was the video was doctored to look that he literally kind of assaulted her.
They sped it up to make it look like he chopped her hand.
He just held onto his mic and properly kind of put a hand to push her back. Not even push her back, just create distance.
Yes, he held
to say, this is my personal space. You're invading it, and you're not going to grab this mic away from my hand.
He actually pulled the mic closer to himself. And if you sped it up, it looks like he was... I don't know.
Anyway, it was foul as fuck. Yeah, so and then I forget the other journalist who tried to defend Jim as always being honorable and respectful, and then Trump tried to be like, "Oh, you want your pass revoked too, motherfucker?"
He basically said, "Well, I don't fuck with you either. Actually, I don't
and
really
then
like your
a black
shit
woman
either."
asked about the new acting attorney general because now Jeff Sessions is out. Matt Whitaker, I believe, is his name, and who is had some words about the Mueller investigation, and she said, "Well, Trump, are you worried about it?" And he said, "You're a loser." What a stupid question. What? Really? This is how you talk to people?
Right. Not to mention the black woman who asked him, what was the question? I don't even know what she asked him, but he came back and said, "That's a racist question." He asked, he asked if he would disavow nationalism. You know the question when he says nationalist.
He says nationalist, and she's saying, well, basically, nationalist now is synonymous with white nationalist.
Yes.
And what do you think about that? Or will you stop saying basically you're a nationalist?
And he was like, "That's a racist question." He said, my poll numbers are the highest they've ever been with black people, and that's a racist question. And I was
that's
like,
completely false.
This motherfucker did the political equivalent of saying I have black friends.
So clearly his people are trying to give him somewhat close enough talking points to respond to reporters, but he's failing. He's flailing and he's failing.
Yeah.
I mean, even the whole tweet about the fires in California, clearly somebody grabbed his phone like, "Motherfucker, get off the fucking phone," and tweeted a properly potentially empty sentiment of, "We support the firefighters and our hearts go out to this and that." And, that presidential bullshit they want you to say, because this motherfucker ain't out here saying none of it.
Well,
so yeah, Trumping, which is, I think, really barely veils the fact that he's a bit rattled.
Yes, a little
there
bit, I think.
Was a significant enough of a wave. His main thing is popularity. It's all about his ego.
This is the biggest Democratic wave since
after Nixon. It can't be the idea that people don't like him, or that areas where he won the district for presidency is now flipping back, which, in these kind of stark binary views is a direct repudiation of his leadership thus far. So it's impossible for him to not take that personally, because everything is personal for him, clearly. So, he trumping, he lashing out at people. I do wish that journalists would stick up for each other a little bit more. Everyone should just, I love some of the tweets saying every news outlet should just send all their black female journalists to the White House press corps. And I do think it is before the next presidential election. I hope that the mainstream media, whatever the hell that means, starts to maybe just call out these lies a little bit more forcefully. So often they will put in a quote unquote less offensive headline, when really it's just leaving room for interpretation, when we really should be looking a little bit more closely at the facts and the non-facts. Yeah. And then people can interpret that how they want. But let's say the facts as they are. Maybe? Can we get closer to that?
I don't even know.
In the next 2 years?
I don't even know if late capitalism will even allow for the existence of a truly independent fourth estate. But I am optimistic that there will always be some voices, some perspectives out there that are willing to dig a little bit deeper and provide the truth. I mean,
can only hope.
I do believe in that, but I also believe that profit motive is a hell of a drug.
That it is.
Maryland is filing a challenge over Matt Whitaker, the acting attorney general, because that shit is mad illegal. And you can't just appoint a cabinet level position without the approval of the Senate.
Oh, really?
Thank God something is
Why
challenging
Trump
that.
Know that.
Yeah, and also to appoint this guy who has publicly spoken out against the legitimacy of the Mueller probe. Well, it's just strange. It's just, I'm sure Trump didn't know anything about that. I'm sure he was just the guy on the list.
Hey, he's never even met the guy, apparently.
They don't even know each other. They share nothing in common. They probably won't even get along. Nothing to see here. Moving along. Thank God Mueller's already had 2 years to put this case together. I look forward to seeing some of the revelations coming out now. The midterms are over. I'm not really worried about Mueller going away. We have the House is blue now, so if they want,
Pelosi's already said she's not going to move to impeach Trump.
No, we're not going to. I don't want to. We don't know. I don't want.
I think that would be a waste of time and money, and it would just piss people off more.
It would piss people off more. It would entrench the right. It would entrench the Trumpists even more, and we would just end up with Mike Pence.
The best thing I think the Democrats can do is to block the legislative agenda of Trump.
Yes,
and basically the 1% and any far right white nationalists that might slip in their bullshit.
Yep.
And begin to address. No, I mean, I totally get why regular people get into politics, because you just want people to fucking deal with the real issues. Fucking school.
Healthcare.
These goddamn shootings.
School loans. Guns.
These motherfucking shootings. Oh my God, I watched one of those videos from the Thousand Oaks shooting, and this woman, she found out her son had been at the bar where a former Marine went and shot it up, and basically he knew that he was going to become famous. And this time, this motherfucker didn't even have an AR-15. He had a fucking handgun, but he had some sort of device on it that made it shoot faster, where the state tried to ban it and the NRA blocked it with a lawsuit.
Right.
So I don't know if it was a bump stock, but either way,
but it's like that,
something like that, and it was just heartbreaking for. I mean, every one of those videos.
Some of those motherfuckers survived 2 gun massacres now.
No, one of them survived Vegas and then died in this one.
Oh Jesus!
They didn't survive both. That's like the woman who survived the goddamn Holocaust.
But I thought there was somebody there. I thought there is somebody who survived. No, there's somebody there was somebody who was in that and did survive both now.
Oh, I heard that.
But there is also one who died. No, you're right. Both is true.
So either way, one thing she said was, she's like, I don't want one more motherfucking thought or prayer. She said, I want gun control. It was,
Yo.
It shouldn't have to be until your child or loved one is killed.
And you know what? That's a perfect segue.
Violence.
That's a perfect segue into the other topic. Let's catch some hell and then we'll get out of here.
More catching hell.
Yeah,
I know we got to get in this.
But the gun thing, because the argument that you always hear tossed out by the guys that are pro gun is that a bad guy, the only solution to a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, right?
Oh God,
you got it.
Story.
If only we had more good guys with guns, then the world would be a better place. We'd all be safe. We could sleep safe in our beds. But as a matter of fact, Jemel Roberson was that good guy with a gun. It was that good guy with a gun. Was the latest example of how the Second Amendment in the United States does not apply to black people.
Nope.
It does not apply to black people, because this guy was a security guard who, in the doing of his job, subdued a dude who was trying to kill other people. Shot him. Shot the dude that was trying to kill other people. Right? That's what he's supposed to do. He's a good guy with a gun, with a job, 26 years old, working at a security guard in Manny's Blue Room Lounge in Robbins, wherever that is. I think this is in Illinois. Yeah, Chicago. So then the police arrive, okay?
Meanwhile, he's pinned the dude down waiting for the police. He's doing a great fucking job. Police come. They see an African-American man standing over him, and the officer who shot him, who, guess the race, shout out to the black guy who tips, white dude, shoots Jemel. Even though all of the patrons are saying, no, he's the hero.
He's one of us. He's
the hero. He saved us.
Y'all.
They shot and killed the good guy with a gun.
Y'all fuck.
The police shot and killed the good guy with a gun.
That shit. Okay? And now the police, they can't even come out and apologize because they got to protect their bottom line. They don't want to get sued.
Are they going to get sued?
But they shouldn't be trying to protect their bottom line. They are getting sued. They are definitely getting sued. But they stopped short of an outright apology, talking about they completely saddened by this tragic. And goddamn right, it's tragic.
No, this is a huge lawsuit because there were so many witnesses.
Yeah.
And everyone's saying, no, we told them.
No, the civil lawsuit is going to be massive.
This is a slight side note, but all these people that are always like, oh, Blue Lives Matter, this and that, like basically taxpayers, it's like, taxpayers, y'all never stress out when do you never consider that the city pays out millions of dollars in these wrongful death civil suits? I'm talking hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Los Angeles, Chicago, everywhere these motherfuckers is just shooting people wrongfully. Disgusting. Wrongful death. That's your taxpayer money. Sure, Blue Lives Matter, and so do Black Lives, and a hell of a lot of lives matter. And if you really cared about your money and all this stuff about the people doing their job, you would also have a say about all of this taxpayer money that goes out when it's unnecessary. Put that money towards training. Listen
to this shit right here. Look, those shootings of security guards and off-duty police officers by law enforcement are fairly rare. Check it out. In 2009, an off-duty black New York City police officer wearing street clothes and holding his service weapon was shot and killed by police as he chased a man who had broken his car.
Yep.
In the same year, undercover officers, it's like the oldies but goodies. In the same year, undercover officers in Brooklyn responding to a report of a bar fight shot and killed a 43-year-old security guard who police said pointed a gun at them. Black. A year earlier in White Plains, New York, a black off-duty Mount Vernon officer was holding an assault suspect at gunpoint, was fatally shot by a Westchester County officer. Black. 73-year-old night watchman at a recycling center was fatally shot by officers in 2012 in Florida after they spotted him carrying a gun when they arrived in response to call of an intruder. I just hate y'all sometimes, man. I really do. I feel like Jada Pinkett Smith. I'm prejudiced sometimes against white people because y'all have shown me y'all ass when it comes to law enforcement. You scare me sometimes, and I feel entitled to be scared sometimes. Y'all scare me. Even when we doing the right goddamn thing. Even when we're doing all the right things, paying our taxes, going to work, doing a job, got the licenses, y'all still shoot us, you still kill us, you still see nothing but an enemy. And fuck y'all if y'all don't understand why I'm scared. Fuck you if you don't understand why I'm scared. I'm scared. It scares me. Y'all crazy. Y'all need help. Therapy.
That's like that little boy said.
Therapy. Y'all need therapy. Y'all need to talk this shit out with somebody that ain't me. Anyway. Ooh, Lord, give me strength. Give me peace. Fuck it. I don't want to do no more. I'm tired of catching up. But I just got to mention, hate crimes increased for the third year in a row. I wonder why. I wonder what could have happened in the last 2 to 3 years that might have accelerated the velocity and intensity of hate crimes. I wonder what changed in the political ether that might be contributing to people sending goddamn. Do you know what? I saw this fucking funny ass meme, you know, because Black Twitter is everything, talking about, ain't it crazy that just a couple of weeks ago a crazy dude was sending bombs to motherfuckers and we over it? Like just a couple of weeks ago, there was a dude sending fucking pipe bombs to everybody, and now we're like, oh well, what's next?
The Thousand Oaks shooting was the 307th mass shooting in 312 days.
Unbelievable.
We're over that.
We're done.
Obviously, some people are not over it, but we're not having a national conversation about it anymore.
The victims are not over it, but the country. If I was one of those victims, and I was looking at the country and trying to see some sort of sympathy or empathy or caring, I would be like, these motherfuckers is cold.
The other thing I saw, I think, for the first time in a long time, congressional and political leaders who were supported by the NRA, about 22 of them lost their seats. A lot of these NRA supporters who were in political positions lost their re-election bid.
So I ain't mad at that.
That might also, I mean, you know, we've got a lot of people joining in the conversation. We've got the youth. We've got the whole, you know, Parkland students are just one group where they're young. They may never stop talking about what happened.
Well, awesome. Well, you know what? On that note, then let's move into something more positive, a little more yes, y'all, because I got a list here from Pace Magazine of all the assholes who lost their election, and I just want y'all to just join me in some just totally righteous schadenfreude where we can just bask in these motherfuckers who did nothing for anyone and deserve to lose power. Starting with Chris Kobach of Kansas. I don't know if you know him very well because I don't live in Kansas, but he was a voter suppressor. He put into law an action that blocked over 12% of Kansas population from voting between 2013 and 2016, requiring voters to present proof of citizenship before being able to register. Do I have proof of citizenship? I mean, I got to go dig up my birth certificate to go vote? Are you kidding me? So rumors about Somalis and Muslims at the polls, of course, enable him to do this shit. But then the ACLU stepped in with a lawsuit and put it to bed. Anyways, but had he won the governor's mansion, Kansas would have certainly would have been Georgia. They would be Georgia next election cycle. They'd be trying to shut all that shit down with no electrical cords in the ballot boxes in the black communities. Anyway. Russell Walker, North Carolina, the man who said God is a racist and a white supremacist.
Whoa, whoa, wow.
Well, he lost his house.
Took one out of the Trump playbook where he said, fuck it.
I don't even know. That might be post-Trump. That might be some meta-Trump shit.
That's a grab him by a pussy statement there. He just went all the way.
That's some David Duke shit right there. That's some God is a racist and a white supremacist. God damn. You just out-hotepped every hotep I've ever met right there. Wow. Well, he lost his House seat to Democrat Garland Pierce, and I don't know anything about Garland Pierce, but I am 1,000% sure he is a better choice for your community to represent it than this motherfucking piece of shit. He also theorized that all Jews descended from Satan. Russell Walker did. Okay, anyways, let's just move on.
Okay,
oh my
so
God.
he was an official white nationalist.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh, but Russell Walker may be actually rethinking his God is racist belief soon though, because Garland Pierce is a black minister. Praise Jesus, y'all. Praise Jesus and all of his disciples. Oh my God. Arthur Jones, Illinois. Don't start tripping. Arthur Jones gathered up a meager 27% of the votes in his race. And the first line of his Wikipedia entry says that he's a neo-Nazi. So we're going to end it right there. What else is there to say about that?
Wow, they've been outed.
There is nothing else to say about that, I will tell you. Let me close some of these windows okay, there we go. John Fitzgerald of California. Ooh. Another neo-Nazi. If you like the neo-Nazi podcast, you might recognize the name. He's reportedly made the rounds on a few different podcasts to tell listeners to be on the lookout for Jewish supremacism, which is a very non-grammatical way of being racist.
Wow. Okay.
Dana Rohrabacher. You might remember that. You might actually know his name because he has been in his seat in Southern California for 30 years and he used to write speeches for Reagan. Yeah. But he was also known for being really into the Russians for some reason. And so he was defeated by Harley Ruda, and that's fantastic. So that's great. Seth Grossman of New Jersey, who is Jewish himself, in the wake of anti-Semitic attacks on his people, when most would advocate for gun legislation, Grossman tells the Jews that they must take advantage of their Second Amendment and arm themselves against their enemies, the Democrats.
Whoa.
Jesus Christ. He actually shared a Facebook post saying that black people are a threat to anyone they come across. So couldn't have happened to a better guy. Corey Stewart was the herald of the chant, "Take Back Our Heritage." Ooh. He lost his race in Virginia. Shout out to VA. Woo! My hometown. Yes. In front of a crowd of other men who looked eerily similar to himself, he declared his love. He declared Paste Magazine. I'm not even making it up. He declared his love for Confederate General Robert E. Lee.
Oh, here we go.
Yes, he is an avowed white nationalist and refusing to distance himself from the Charlottesville protest organizers. Oh wow, just seems like yesterday. Oh my goodness. And then Scott Walker. You guys remember Scott Walker? The union buster, minority hating, poor people, fucking aggravating. He said anyways, he's a fuckhead and he's out of here. He'd only appoint openly homophobic judges and even take money from lobbyists for legalized marijuana, only to turn around and suggest that impoverished that the impoverished should be drug tested. And now he's gone. Woo! So anyways, that feels good. I'm glad to hear it. It's a fantastic thing. Bye, y'all. To all those motherfuckers. Anything else you want to talk about before I give Jill Scott some praise? And
No. Stanley died. I don't know. Got a shout out to that. I mean,
how could I forget? Oh my God.
It's amazing what he did with his life. Honestly, I mean, he helped bring so much joy and entertainment to millions of people the world over.
That man created the mythology by which I define a large portion of my life.
I mean, it's not so many people.
Our children and we all talk in the language of Marvel in Marvel movies. I mean, it's
Ellison today totally looked like Thor. Langston had made a hammer, a little 3D cardboard hammer, but he even put like a loop in it. It looks very good. Yeah. Anyway, it fits Ellison's hand perfectly, and he found a red cape. And so he was like, I'm Thor, and we were like, you look just like Thor. And he believes it, and then he was like, wait, we don't have Loki. He knows everybody.
He knows him. It's wonderful, man. So anyways, yeah. It's late. We're going to get out of here soon.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I just want to tell you, check out Jill Scott. Just Google that. Google her and a microphone. You'll appreciate it. It's wonderful. I have been a Jill Scott fan forever. I don't know why people thought that she was not a sexual being in possession of amazing confidence.
Is that why she did that?
No, she's been doing this in shows for fucking ever. Like it's part. Yeah. Like she's just a sexual omni-dimensional being who just has like. She's not Erykah Badu like most people think. Like Questlove, his tweet was, "Oh, I'm LOLing at y'all, Jill Scott newbies. Y'all thought she was incense and sandals, huh?" Because like Jill Scott has always been.
Yeah, she's.
I will snatch your wig off and like I'll take my earrings off and beat this bitch ass. I guess they just
never listened to the first album, or I'm confused.
Yeah, so I think these just these new kids, these like 20, early 30 something kids who ain't never really fuck with Jill Scott seeing this shit. Anyways,
I need to take it back. I need to go back.
I think it's hilarious, and shout out to Jill Scott who still looks amazing at probably 40 some years old. I don't know, she's amazing. Also check out Michelle Obama's new memoir. I heard it's amazing. We should read it and actually talk about it.
I don't really always talking about things that need to be talked about.
Well, one of the things I thought was really interesting was that in particular, like she takes the piss out of Obama, Barack a lot, and she talks about their varying ideas of what marriage is, and like I was like all very revelatory shit. I'm like, every black married couple should have to read this book before they get married, because it's like she talks about how he thought marriage would just be like two people independently pursuing their own individual things, but together, and that neither one of them would have to sacrifice for the other. But she came into it thinking like, no, actually the family's needs sublimate individual needs. And now it's like this story about like how she supported him all this time to make him president, and now it's kind of interesting to see him kind of falling back and just letting her do her thing. And anyways, I ain't read the book yet, but all the articles are amazing about it, and I just think
if you want some black marriage shit, you need to watch the Red Table Talk where Jada has Will come to the red table. Holy shit.
I'm gonna watch that one. That sounds good. I ain't seen that one yet. Yeah, so a lot of good things, man. Such good things. I
like that she talks about the fact that she had miscarriage and that the girls, Sasha and Malia, were both born as the result of IVF. Yeah. And it's a thing that oftentimes
and
people
we're talking about Michelle,
about.
not a Jada.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Yes.
Right.
So I think that it's a good conversation that our community can open themselves up to, and I think just women of any color can really maybe find some comfort by seeing and hearing that even such a powerful woman has struggled. Speaking of which, how happy are we for Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade? Holy moly. They just had their baby.
Oh, yeah?
Via surrogate, and it's now become well known that Gabrielle Union had a reproductive health issue. It's not endometriosis. It's like the opposite, where it's not growing on the endometrial lining is not growing on the outside of your uterus. It's like in the muscle of the... Anyway, it's some fucked up shit. Definitely causes problems if you're trying to carry a baby. And so she'd had multiple miscarriages, but obviously they're very happy, and he has kids from a previous marriage, and, they wasn't putting their business out on the street. So I certainly didn't know, because I don't fucking know them. I don't know if other people knew. But all of a sudden, they posted a photo of a newborn baby that they were able to have via surrogate, and all the pictures are so sweet. They just look so happy. And again, for someone who doesn't know them, and even just the little bit that I had heard, I know that it's just a very intense thing to go through. And so for them to finally get their baby is a really joyful experience. And I just love seeing her in the beginning of this new journey, and she seems so happy, and we're all happy for them both.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, last bit of good news is local news, but Democrats have gained a supermajority in California. So now our new governor, Gavin Newsom, has a legislature that's amenable to him, and I'm just glad to be living in one of the few states that is solidly progressive, liberal, and interested and concerned with having these conversations about diversity and feminism and empowerment and inclusion. And yeah, anyways, I think the Democrats deserve to win this one. And when they fuck up, I'll be here to say they fucked up. And if the Republicans somehow have a come to Jesus moment and somehow have a platform that is worth considering in the future, I will be here for that too. But for the time being, y'all looking real suspect. And if y'all want to stay with this Trump shit, it's gonna be a long time. It's gonna be a long time before niggas is ready to come see y'all. I just want y'all to be clear on that. Be very clear. Them 19 judges in Houston is not a fluke. It's just pretty much this. This is what it's gonna be from here on out. Unless y'all, and I don't care that the Republican convention is talking about making a huge investment in black businesses when they have their convention. Y'all not gonna buy black people, okay? Because we will take your money and still vote in our best interest. Do you understand what we gonna do? Just like black athletes will take your money and still kneel at the national anthem, like we will still do that, okay? You can't buy us. That part of the history is over. No more buying niggers, okay? Understand?
I think it's going to be increasingly difficult to buy people of color, marginalized people. The women, the white women, 53% still, on the fence. But it's more and more the youth, the college educated, the marginalized are finally standing up and saying, you know what, I'm refusing to take less than and at least keep my mouth shut about it.
Exactly.
I'm not going to, I can't always do anything about it, but I'm certainly not going to sit here quiet.
Not taking it.
So that y'all think I liked it, as a gross paraphrasing of the Zora Neale Hurston quote is.
Word. All right. That's it. That's the last word on that.
Last of us in our robes because it is cold and we are tired.
We're tired, y'all.
And
we're going to try not to make it another 2 weeks.
So much.
We'll try to be back next week, okay?
Yeah, I don't know why we went 2 weeks.
I don't know.
Probably tiredness.
Probably
I fell asleep.
so, yeah.
You fell asleep one night.
Yeah, we voted. It took a lot out of us. I don't know what to tell you.
But we appreciate y'all always kind of checking in with us.
Yes.
And honestly, thank you for voting.
Yes.
Thank you for trying to stay aware. Yes, take some time if you need it. Be with your people.
That's right. It's the holidays.
Help
people. Have a happy Hanukkah. If I don't see you, a happy Christmas, Thanksgiving. Actually, if you still got your Christmas trees up, y'all need to be ashamed of your goddamn selves. Let Thanksgiving elapse first, please. Let's have one holiday at a time. Anyways, peace, y'all. Until next time, stay woke.